unfortunately. So Elliot Stanley is now out of this race. Here goes Pearce. Is he going to go for the move? No, he's not. Barlow's pretty quick through there as well, of course. So if he's not going to get alongside him there, he's going to need to wait for his ultimate moment. Dan Walden has just set the fastest lap of the entire race there. 3 seconds back from Sam Faulkner, who's steadily pulling away from Massarella, who's steadily pulling away from these three. But sadly, Ben Hitch in 4th place, the 160, has been given a penalty, which will be applied at the end of the race. And that is going to be for the cause of the incident that took Richard Evans off at turn 1. We'll get a replay of that incident just after the race, and you'll be able to assess it for yourself. But Dan Walden is right there behind Ben Hitch. 6th position, still Barlow versus Pearce, as they duel away for position. So apologies for the break in the internet feed. If anyone was watching along, we apologise. For those who were keeping an eye on the action, apologies for the internet blackout. It is back to normal, we're told. So Faulkner in the lead. We've got a yellow flag. A yellow flag, that's for Carl Watt. Carl Watt has binned it on the exit of 5, unfortunately. Just at this corner here. So Carl Watt, I'm afraid, is out of the race. There he is, just pushing the cart away into the tyres. And that is the 3rd retirement of this race now, after Elliot Stanley and Ami Jurga. The closing stages of this race for Sam Faulkner in front of Tom Massarella and Sam Dimolo. That's going to be a top 3. The leading Grandmaster looks set to be Neil Fisher in front of Mark Lawrence and David Darling. And that's good points in the championship for Neil Fisher, who really could have done with some going into this battle. So in terms of the Grandmasters Championship, Neil Fisher is going to close down the gap a little bit to David Darling and Mark Lawrence. But Mark Lawrence is going to take the lead in the Grandmasters Championship by courtesy of being the 2nd Grandmaster home. So Faulkner leads with just over a minute to go, plus the additional lap, of course. And he leads by 1.6. When it comes to Faulkner in birelART UK, he's got so much speed. He just has the ability to drive away from the rest of the field. Now Matthew Pearce is still dealing with Harry Barlow. He's guaranteed a top 6 finish at least if he stays where he is, because Ben Hitch has got a penalty coming his way. So Massarella in 2nd place is going to get his best ever finish in the championship's history. He's going to be there in 2nd place by the end of the race. And next time around will be the last lap, so we're on the penultimate lap. But Tom Massarella in 2nd has been very quietly getting on with his pace, and he's looked very strong throughout. Just 1 step away from getting a victory. Faulkner, Massarella, Dimolo, Hitch, Walden, Barlow and Pearce as they duel over 6th position. Watch Pearce. He may get another lunge into that final turn. Not close enough. Barlow's keeping him honest, but that man is on the last lap. How does he do it? I do not know where he finds it from, but Sam Faulkner is just uncrushable. He's unbeatable. Anyone who thinks they could take on Sam Faulkner in a straight fight is going to have to bring their A game, because Faulkner has been invincible in the 2018 season. He has started 15 races out of his season at 5 different meetings, and he comes out of the final turn, and Sam Faulkner remains unbeaten. 15 wins out of 15 starts. Massarella 2nd, Dimolo 3rd. Unbelievable. It is the most dominant streak in the history of birelART UK. 15 wins in a row. I genuinely don't know anybody who's come that close to that feat in the history of the championship. But Sam Faulkner has won all 15 of his last 15 race starts. Truly sensational. Massarella in a valiant 2nd place. That's his best ever result in the birelART UK Series Super Elites. At 3rd position for the 3-time birelART UK Series champion, Sam Dimolo. Ben Hitch, unfortunately, will get a penalty after his dealings with the 1st lap incident. There's Sam Dimolo in 3rd. I wondered where he'd gone. So, unfortunately, there are a couple of penalties to hand out then. Ben Hitch, although his brilliant performance there shows him as 4th, he will be docked for being judged to have caused the incident that spun out Richard Evans and took Tyrone Stansfield over the grass. Faulkner is your winner, though, from Massarala and Dimolo. Walden 5th behind Hitch, then Barlow, Pearce and Bradbury. Fisher, Evans, Lawrence, Banks, Tyrone Stansfield, David Darling, and then in behind it is Will Checkley, Matt Ogle, George Friday, and then our 3 retirees. George Friday was a retirement in the end as well, unfortunately, along with Carl Watt, Elliot Stanley, and Ami Jurga. Well, there is the number 6. That's Elliot Stanley's cart, about to be brought in, and Ami Jurga is looking for a lift as well. Can you give me a push? No. Can you give me a push? No. I'll give you a push. Fantastic. At least they could smile at the end of a very difficult race meeting, but that man has done it all. Sam Faulkner, 3 wins out of 3, 15 wins out of 15. Absolutely amazing. He's on the run to the title. All he has to do, effectively, is exactly the same job next time out at Shennington, and there won't really be anybody who can catch him. Sam Dimolo came very close in the pre-final to beating him, and ever so close in the final, led for a long way in the first 3 minutes, but unfortunately, it was a 14-minute race, not a 4-minute race. Massarala, though, took the advantage and grabbed a brilliant second place. That makes up for the disappointment of earlier, surely. And a second place overall, really exciting. Let's finish off our broadcast with the highlights from that birelART Super Elites race. And let's be frank, there is a lot to go over in this final. That had so much. So the birelART Super Elites final had plenty of action, plenty of drama through it. Let's have a look and see what happened. Obviously, the starting point saw Sam Faulkner from the front of the grid with Sam Dimolo alongside him. But it's that move into the first corner that really got this race on its way. Ben Hitch, obviously, was the man who ended up being judged to be the person in pursuit, who ended up having some difficulties there. Not entirely sure what's happening with our replays at the moment, but we'll get it back to the right position in a moment. But a fantastic race battle from the Super Elite 125s there. And the second place finish for Tom Massarala, his best ever result in the championship. But a brilliant performance as well from the man up at the front end. Sam Faulkner, again, truly fantastic result. So here are our replays from the course of the race. Let's see that first corner incident again. In there as we get the drivers in, it's just a little nudge there into that first corner that caused the incident. Richard Evans round the outside of Ben Hitch and tipped into his spin. 2 or 3 drivers going off there as a result as well, trying to avoid it. Stansfield, Massarala and Bradbury all having to take avoiding action. But Dimolo is absolutely determined to get past Faulkner, did so on the first lap. Held on for as long as was humanly possible. Look how wide he made his kart in the early stages. Faulkner tried every trick in the book, and Dimolo had a response every time. Then into turn 2, Dimolo was again wide enough to keep him at bay. Ben Hitch wasn't particularly happy with the way Walden was getting into him at that stage of the race either, with Ami Jurga having parked up at the early stages. But this was the move, really, that put the cat amongst the pigeons. Dimolo slid in, Faulkner went right. I'm really going to have to go for an overtake here. And Massarala thought, well, I'll go through as well. And that was how the deed was done. So Dimolo tried his hardest to get the win, come closer than many other drivers, but job not done, unfortunately. Dan Walden scrapped away with Ben Hitch throughout, but Ben Hitch unfortunately stayed in position. Matthew Pearce, though, pulled off some killer overtakes at that final turn. Firstly on Neil Fisher, and then a little way later did the same trick on Elliot Stanley. His move on Stanley really was pretty special. Fisher got himself into several battles through the race, though. This is Pearce's move on Elliot Stanley. Watch back, and here he goes. Just keeps the foot flat on the throttle. Boom! Straight up the inside. Nicely done. Once he got to Barlow, that was the end of the overtakes, unfortunately. Couldn't quite get on terms with Barlow. There's some good battles between the 2 Grandmasters. That's how Neil Fisher got the Grandmasters victory over Mark Lawrence. But no matter what Matthew Pearce tried, he couldn't quite get one over on Harry Barlow. And no, Matthew Pearce tried a few times. That wasn't really going to happen. But it's a victory in the end for the birelART Super Elites 125 for Sam Faulkner, who continues his clean sweep. And now we head into the next round of the championship, which is at Shennington. We're obviously going to have our podium ceremonies a bit later on as well. So make sure you stick around for that. Like and subscribe to the Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages of birelART UK, as well as keeping up to date with everything through Alpha Live on the YouTube stream and through Downforce UK as well. A massive thank you to everybody. It's been a great weekend here at Hooton Park. The podiums are coming up, but from me, Jake Sanson, it's a very good night to you from all the action here at the birelART UK series.